I'm Jolene Paskowski. I'm your director for Sports Path Committee from the Governing Board, and I like to call this meeting to order at 9 o'clock. If you can and able, please stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. We do have quorum. Everyone is here, which is really kind of amazing, which is kind of sweet. I will now read the meeting procedures, and we read this at every meeting that we hold. The Governing Board and its committees conduct all of their meetings in compliance with the Arizona Plan Community Association open meeting laws per ARS 33-1804 and in concert with RCSCW bylaws, policies, and standing rules. Parliamentarian procedures as outlined in the most recent edition of Robert's Rules of Order will also be followed in all meetings as appropriate, consistent with Bylaw 3.07, procedures for owner-member meetings, and Standing Rule number 2 and number 3. This policy was, or procedure was adopted by the Governing Board on January of 2025. We will move on to 2.01, approval of the minutes. You guys all got those? Everything good? Yep. Great. We will have Karen post those, and they are good as to go. Now our reports. 3.02. Hey, we are cruising. Okay, Sports Pavilion Manager Report. Gary, you're up, dear.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to see everybody here. Just a side note, first of all, before we get into anything, one of my 17-year employees is retiring tomorrow. Mr. Joe Jackson is leaving the billiard room. He has been with us for 17 years. He's been part of the family. And tomorrow is going to be his last day, so I just wanted to do a shout out for him that we appreciate his service, and if you get a chance, he'll be there tomorrow to stop by and say hi and thank you to him, because he's a great guy, and we're going to miss him. Yeah. So bowling, and getting right to it, February bowling obviously is up again. We're doing quite well as far as Sports Pavilion bowling goes. League games are up. Non-league games are a bit down because we are having more leagues and tournaments this month as we finish up before we close for the new pin setters. We'll get into that a little bit later. Billiard check-ins are still down a little bit. I would expect that they will continue to rise as we go through the year. The intention is not to close the billiard room down while we are doing the pin setters. So we will see how that all works out down the road and see what is going to happen with that situation. So as far as bowling goes, we're very, very busy. March is going to be another awesome month as far as lineage. We have 2 more tournaments that we're going to be finishing up there, and then we will be into our April, and we will be shutting the building down April 26th. So we will still have a lot of bowling going on through the end of April. Next would be Lizard Acres. The pub is doing amazingly well. People are extremely happy with the bands, the selection, the new beers that we keep rotating on the taps. Karaoke is going well. Trivia is going well. And we are also going to do, during the shutdown, we are going to try some Wednesday entertainment. We may even try a karaoke in the afternoon to see how that works out for some of our residents. We are also going to have bands on Fridays and Saturdays, probably through the entire shutdown. And if it goes very, very well, we are going to continue through the year with Friday and Saturday bands. We are also going to try to do a trivia on a Saturday night, because it's pretty popular on Tuesdays, every other Tuesday. So we're going to throw in a trivia on a Saturday night and see how that works out. So all good things as far as that goes. Financially, it will help us with catching up from the downtime we had in July and August and September for all of the reconstruction that we did in there. So it seems to be very popular. The pub is busier than it's ever been before. I think people are really, really enjoying it. The bands have been great. We have actually added an additional 8 tables and 32 chairs. So we now have no pilfering off of the concourse for the bands. It seems we have plenty of seating in there. So I believe we've taken care of that situation. So everything seems to be going very well as far as the pub goes. And that'll be it for this one.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Any
Sure.
questions, committee? For the pub? Any questions from the audience? Anything online? Great. Hold on, sir. Just so you know, if you're first time resident attending a meeting, when I call for audience questions, you have to come to the podium, state your name and your rec card number, and then ask the question. Otherwise, we can't hear you. So if you have a question, feel free to go to the podium and ask away.
Steve Malmquist, 137-300. And my question or comment is the billiard being down in February, just anecdotally, I've seen so many people in there, it just seems surprising to me that the numbers would be down like that. But again, it's just what I've noticed being there. Good report, though.
Everybody checks in. So there could be reasons that some people may not be here or may have played this month, but we only report the numbers off the check-ins at the bowling counter. So I can't give you a reason why. The tables are there. We've been open same amount of hours. Everything seems to be going very well in there. So I would say maybe we've missed a few people who aren't here right now or who aren't playing. That's pretty much all I can tell you, but it seems to me the room has been doing very, very well.
I can make one comment. I did have a report run for February, and so everyone has their own ID, right? So we had, 2,600 members check in February for the billiard room. We had 673 distinct members check in. So that means that those 673 had to come in more than once or twice or 3 times to get to that 2,600. Just a FYI for you. Anything else? Okay, so now we can move on to Cliff. 3.02, Sports Pavilion Financial Review. Thank you, Cliff.
Thank you, Director Piaskowski. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, community. Glad to see you're here for this Sports Pavilion meeting, and hope you stick around for the budget too. A lot of good information for you. So we're going to talk about January year-to-date. So the first 7 months of the year for us. We start our year in July, our fiscal year in July, and it goes through June 30. So this is the first fiscal year for the Sports Pavilion. I will say, though, the billiards is a very popular amenity for the association. And this year, we've had a lot of barriers. Our diehards are obviously always there, but the kind of drop-in stuff is down a little bit just because of all the renovations, the carpet, the painting and all that. So we're down a little bit year over year, still very strong, and we anticipate holding that. So that would explain why those numbers are a little bit down year over year, but still very strong. So looking at the financial performance of the Sports Pavilion, that includes bowling and all the rental revenue that we have in there, as well as the food and beverage. We have approximately through January of this year, $833,000 in revenue. We budgeted $740,000, so we're $92,000 favorable in revenue for the Sports Pavilion. On the expense side, we had some additional expenses this year for the setup of the Lizard Acres, as well as the renovations to the billiards hall. So in those areas where repairs and maintenance, you'll see that we're a little bit over on budget, as well as on the wages and benefits and taxes, as we've added staff to accommodate the additional hours in Lizard Acres as well as the additional traffic. So yes, we are 92,000 favorable in revenue. We're a little bit unfavorable in expenses, but still overall 34,000 favorable for the year in the Sports Pavilion. So if we compare that to last year, 97,000 favorable in revenue to last year. Looking at the bowling lineage, we're about 19,000 lineage in bowling ahead of prior year. And a good mix there with 6,000 of that being non-league bowling. That means drop-in community bowling, open bowling, those other types of bowling, which is great, not only for the bowling center, but as well as the billiards hall and the pub. If we break that bowling revenue down by bowler type, we're 78,000 favorable in the bowling revenue itself. It's an 18% increase over last year. Our largest increase in terms of revenue and percent is our open bowling for our members. So we're getting a lot more engagement with bowling. And again, that feeds the pub, that makes the billiards room more popular. I think people don't even know sometimes that we've got this world-class billiards room in our facility. They don't even know because they don't go into the Sports Pavilion. Yeah, this is all great for that venue. And compared to prior year, 102,000. So budgeted items, of course, payroll, wages, benefits increase, as well as repairs and maintenance items that we put in the budget. So we're running about 5,000 favorable to prior year. Again, we had some closures and things that we were doing early on in the year that were kind of barriers to sales, of course, in Lizard Acres, as well as just foot traffic. So we anticipate as we get through March and April that these numbers will even get healthier compared to prior year. And that concludes the financial presentation for January year to date.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Oh, Howard, no.
On the wages and benefits side, you had extra people, you said at Lizard Acres, and yet it looks to me like when you're saying the revenue that's coming in from the Lizard Acres and the increasing the investment and expanding the bar and grill and additional hours and more music, et cetera, it doesn't seem like you're getting a lot of dollars back for that return at this point. And yet you have a large wage and benefit increase for increased staff there.
Well, if you look at just the month of January and compare to revenue compared to prior year, last January we had 23,000 in revenue coming from the Lizard Acres. This January we had 34,000. So year to date it's tough because it was closed. So if you're looking year to date, yeah, it looks like it's down, but it's only because we were closed for so long in there and not generating revenue in those months that we were closed. Now that it's open, you can see on that chart, if you go back to the manager's report, the revenue in those months that it's open has consistently been above, even in partial closures in those months, because there's a flooring issue we had to address and some other things, startup costs, filling that bar with supplies and just different things that we needed to do having that new facility. So keep an eye on it and you'll see that it'll continue to grow.
Well, the best hope is, like any business, you do increase every month because that's what you're going to budget for in the long term anyway.
Yep.
Thank you. I have one question. When you said wages and benefits, I want to just make sure that everyone understands that that is just wages and benefits for Sports Pavilion employees, correct?
Yes.
Because when you went through the Lizard Acres, you kind of included maintenance. Do we charge that back to them?
Yeah, it's not maintenance staff that we charge to them, but the repairs and maintenance. So all the painting in the billiards room, for example, all of the non-project items that were done in the Lizard Acres pub that were expensed, all of that gets charged to the Sports Pavilion. The staff and our maintenance staff is not charged because that number would be much higher if it were. But we did add some facilities assistant hours because of the pub open, and then we also added a bar staff for not only for to help the existing bar staff, but we actually added hours to the pub as well, being open. Yep, and entertainment and all those things.
Correct. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mhm.
Any questions from the audience?
Yes. My name is Bill Honick. My rec number is 142900. And I'm concerned, we have this crowd here to talk about the lights. And my understanding was Gary was going to talk about the lights. Is this going to be addressed later on?
Yes, it
Okay,
will be.
because I don't have the, okay, thank you.
Moving right along. Anyone else? Questions? Anything online? No? Okay, great. Okay, so now we're going to move to new business. And the new business is 4.01 is pool table refelting. And Gary and I are going to kind of this, I think, a little bit. But,
Yeah.
so anyway, we've had questions about the refelting of the tables. And so I went to Gary and said, hey, what's going on there? And this is what Gary told me.
We are in desperate need of having some tables redone. There's no question about it. Some of them even have a couple holes in them. They're old and outdated and need to be refelted. Pretty much every single one of them in the room. We are going to start doing them again in the summer, and we are going to do as many as we possibly can. We have also set up a program so on a yearly or every other year, some of those tables don't get played as much as the others. So we are going to do replacements and get it in our budget to refelt yearly on a lot of those tables, and then maybe 18 months on some of the other ones that don't get played a lot. Because as everybody knows who plays in the room, that there's some tables in the center that don't get used as often as all of the ones around the walls. So those tables get worn out the most. There's still some that we refelted my first year when I was here that still look reasonably well versus some of the other ones who, oh my God, they're awful. So we are going to start that project in the summer to get as many as we refelted as possible.
Thank you. So I just want everyone to understand, the reason we have to start them in the summer would be because we have a new budget as of July 1st. And so July 1st would put us, am I correct, Cliff, with money for the refelting? Okay. My next question, Gary, would be this. We have 29 tables there?
We have 29 tables.
Okay. So you just said that some tables get played on, others
More than others, yes,
Right.
they do.
So do we keep track of the people who play on, I mean, not the people, just how often table number one gets tracked, you know?
We do not.
Okay, is that something that maybe we can make a spreadsheet and just the guys that, so when you check someone in, walk us through that.
When someone checks in, they usually, if they have their own pool cues, they
Right.
would go to their table and pick. A lot of them, the billiard players have their preferred tables that they play on. So they usually go to those tables. People who are just coming in for a novelty or maybe a once a week or once a month or a visitor may go to a table that's just open. So we don't assign tables to anyone. Pretty much the billiard people control their own destiny as far as the room goes. We really don't do any, you're assigned to table 5, you're assigned to table 26. We pretty much, I don't think that that's ever been done before. I'm not going to say we can't do it. I'm just going to say it hasn't been done.
I get that everyone likes their own table, so I understand that, but if we could maybe look and see if it would be easy for us to just keep track of how many times pool number one gets played on in the month of March, right, and pool number 2. And the reason I say that is because when I worked at golf, we had to rotate the carts, right? So the guys take out the carts and you have 1 through 20 carts and 1 through 10 gets used every day. And then that's on Monday, and then on Tuesday, 11 through 20 get put out, right? Not saying that you're going to direct anybody, but at least then you can kind of know which tables are going to be used more and which tables will have to get refelted more often. I don't know.
I can certainly look into that.
Okay, thanks. Okay, any questions from the committee? Any questions online or online? Nothing. And then we have a question for the audience.
Once again, my name is William Honick, rec number 142900. So I like how we do things now for pick your own table. A good way to get the count is just do a random sample. When you come, just look in there once in the morning, maybe the second time in the morning, maybe 4 times out of the day, you would get some good numbers. It could be somebody walking around doing the trash. They just kind of observe, come back, fill it out. Simple sample like that would give you a lot of good information. But I do like how we do it now.
Thank you. And we have one more resident coming to the podium. Rec card number and
Terry
name.
Gleisig, 133861. I'll just say that a lot of times the interior tables don't get used because there's no place to have a chair and set a table and with your drink or put your cues. So that's one of the reasons the outer ones get used more.
Thank you. Anything else? Anyone else? We're good? Okay, we're going to move on to finalizing our 4.02, which is the final policy of BO3, which is another revision. Basically, we approved it. I took it to the governing board. They kind of approved it. I'm just bringing it back to you guys to let you know what we did anyway. So it's all the same. We took out we took out the league stuff, right? And put it in 5, because that's league. And then this is strictly for non-residents. Is that right? Am I confused? Yes. Okay. So that's just so you guys know that I'll present it, I think, on tomorrow. Is that the deal? And then they're going to give me the okay, which is great. We can move on. What? Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought. So I was just bringing it back to you guys. Yeah, thank you. It's been already approved. Okay, so now we're going to go to 4.03, which is our Sports Pavilion capital improvement projects. And Gary and Jolene are going to talk about this one. Okay.
So the billiard lighting is one of the things that is on the pavilion billiard room lighting improvements. There is one of the sample lights up right now that are being considered to replace all of the 20-year-old lights that we have in there right this minute. We made some adjustments to it. I've been in contact with Parameter Billiards. We have raised it some additional inches up to see if that helps, because it is still a sample in the works, and we're testing it out to see if it's what the future holds. I have got some, obviously you can see in the stands, I have some people who don't care for it, but I also have many who do. So that's kind of where we are as far as the lighting goes for the project. I think they're going to be great lights. You have seen them in your tours. I know the governing board has seen them when they did their tours of other facilities to modernize that room to make it look a little bit better. So that is what is one of the projects on the capital project to get done. The other is a water heater that is on its last leg of life that is going to be installed in the pavilion grill in the restaurant at some time in the 26 to 27 budget. And that's the only 2 things I have on my capital for this year. Everything else is already been bought and paid for, and it's on the water from Hungary.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I just, I want to make sure everyone understands that the Sports Pavilion, the Pavilion Grill, we own that property and we lease it or rent it to the Pavilion Grill, so we are responsible for that water heater and all those things. So if you guys are asking why do we replace it, it's because we own that part of that building. Okay, now, the billiard lighting for $46,000. I know people are here to discuss the lighting. Before we do that, I want to just give a little insight to what has all taken place in the billiard room in the last 19 months. Gary was hired roughly 19 months ago. Prior to Gary being on board, that room I would want to say was never really touched at all. The prior manager, it was just like a stepchild. Didn't really do anything to it. Gary came in, he's done a lot of improvements with the bowling alley along with that room. In that room, Gary has done, he painted the walls, put new carpeting, new ceiling lights, new window treatments, which means they're a blackout treatment so we don't get any glare from the outside of the light, of the natural lighting. He put the new mural on the wall, and we literally have to have that mural, just so you guys know, because otherwise you'd be looking into the back of the pro shop, which no one wants to do. He has purchased new generic pool cues for the public. And then the other thing is he's done new furniture in there. We're looking to maybe do a chair rail along, because with the new furniture, we have found that people butt it up against the wall and it hurts the wall, and now we have a nick. So we're looking into seeing if we can get that done, maybe when.
That will be done this summer.
There you go. So Gary has done a lot for that room, considering that nothing has been touched in that room. The other thing I wanted to make sure that everyone realizes, in that room, we have 2 different types of billiard tables. We have a Brunswick table and we have a diamond table. Have learned a lot about tables in the last 48 hours, folks. I grew up with a Brunswick table. My dad had one and we played on it all the time. So I talked to someone yesterday asking, he was an older gentleman, been here for a long time. What's the skinny? Why do we have 2 different types of tables? And basically we purchased the 12 diamond tables, and then he's like, we just didn't get the rest of them. Funding went bye-bye, whatever. So that's what we have. I did talk to Cliff today, prior to the meeting, and we do have in our repair and replacement pool tables to get replaced. We're not too sure when, but they are there. So that's just something that everyone needs to know. And at that point, when we do that, we will then, you guys, Gary, whoever, not me, because I won't be on the board, will decide what table you want, Brunswick, Diamond, and I think there's a couple other ones. So anyway. So now, any comments about the lighting from our committee? Carol?
I'm not a pool player, but I did go in and look, and I found that the new lighting in the far corner, there was no shading on the pool table whatsoever. The table next to it, you could see pockets of light. It wasn't an even lighting. So I thought the new light did a much better job of lighting the table.
Okay.
And that's from a non-pool player.
Okay. My question on the new light is, the old lights, we have LED lights in those lights, right? In the old lights. Do we know? Yes, we do.
I want to say I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the new light that we are looking to get would, how does that work? Because it looks like it's just a big perimeter of lights. I mean, I know LED lights last a long time.
It's an LED light.
Right. So, but can you replace those bulbs, or do you know anything about that? I mean, I'm just asking.
Not
for a
as of
friend.
this time, but I
Okay.
certainly will investigate the life expectancy and the replacement if one would burn out.
Right. That's what I'm kind of looking at,
Yes,
right? 'Cause-
I don't have that info for you right this minute, but certainly I can contact Perimeter Billiards and have that probably pretty quick.
Okay.
Okay?
Because right now, the lights that we have above, those just get replaced, right? The bulbs.
They probably do, but I can't recall ever replacing one since I've been here.
Because they're LED.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. That would be my only concern on that light, is how long does that last, and can we replace them? How easy is it maintenance-wise? I have no idea. Okay, so we do have someone at the podium that would like to speak about the lights.
Director Piaskowski, I'd like to submit this handout. And this
Okay.
concerns, it has photos of our billiard hall along with a member comment form that I filled out online concerning issues, and then a conversation with 2 table mechanics in the area,
Okay,
and then my recommendations. So can you
Okay.
hand that out?
I have to just make sure it's okay with the committee to receive all this. That's fine. There you go. Oh, I might need more out there. There you go. He should have enough for 9 of us, maybe all 10 of us. And then I'm gonna just ask now, prior to his 2 minutes going up, because I know he's going to need more than the next minute and 30 seconds, if it's okay for him to have extended time. Everyone okay with that? Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
So, table's yours.
Okay, so the first page you have there is exactly shows the pictures of the Brunswick table with a diamond light and a diamond table with a diamond light. The Brunswick table with diamond light does not match. It looks like a yard sale in the sense that you walk in, that's what you see, it doesn't match. But if you look at the diamond table, it's a set of furniture. The diamond light is meant to match the diamond table. On the second page, if you walk down to the area where you only see diamond tables with diamond lights, this is a beautiful pool hall. This is why I moved to Sun City West. The lights are the gold standard of pool lights. The reason why is they light up only the pool table, and if you look at the diffuser above, there's no direct light. You can stand there's no direct light into your eyes, and that's a critical thing when you're playing a lot of pool. And the problem with the perimeter light is you do get direct light, and that causes something they call eye strain. We'll talk that later. The next page shows a comparison of our pool hall into what perimeter billiard lights have on their website. The one on the right looks like a conference room. And the reason why, they have to raise those lights up so high to avoid eye strain. Those lights are designed for residential areas where you have a big open window, where you have to compete with sunlight. But we don't have to compete with sunlight. And so in order to avoid eye strain, they raise it up high. And I talk about eye strain in detail in my member comment form on the next page. I don't want to dwell on this, you can read it. But I talked to the diamond distributor, and he was explaining, you have to raise them up high. We're going to light this place up like a Christmas tree. It's going to look like this room right here, lit up. This is not a pool hall. And also in this member comment form, I reference how management is not getting the full story. And the reason why, people don't want to get in confrontations. I hear a lot from the inside. I would say I would hear about 80% of the people do not like the lights. And I know they're not speaking to management about that. And it's frustrating on my point, which is why I gathered all these people here. Okay, the next page is a conversation between 2 table mechanics. I called up Diamond Distributor talking about, I had a different question, but I asked him his opinion about these lights. And he's like, you're going to ruin that pool hall. He said, you got a beautiful pool hall, you're going to ruin it. And I asked him, have you seen any of them with it? He said, yes, he's seen 2. They were a 9-foot ceiling and a 10-foot ceiling. And he lowered the lights were lowered like 4 inches from the ceiling. He said, but it looks like, he said, it's lit up like a Christmas tree. It's not a pool hall. And I asked him to reach out to Dave Clayton to see if Dave had any experience with this. And the text message that he sent back to me is Dave Clayton is a table mechanic that does our pool hall. He's our table mechanic.
So what does he do for us?
He
Just out of
recloths.
here.
Okay, table mechanics is the person that recloths the table. That's their job. Okay. So they know pool halls. That's what they're in. That's their life. They do pool tables for a living, and they know pool halls. So Justin reached out to Dave, and that's the text message. This is the legit text message. And basically, he said, I talked to Dave. He has not seen another pool room with those lights, but he agrees that he agrees with you and me about ruining that room. They both agree that this is going to ruin the room, and these are professional table mechanics. Lighting is a big deal, and other people will speak towards it. So my recommendation is that we do not replace the lights. We have the gold standard of lights. What we do need to do is replace the Brunswick table and complete that project and replace them with diamond tables. And that should be, I recommend that should be on a repair and replacement budget. And there's no reason to wait till 2030 to get that done. These tables will essentially last forever. They just need to, you maintain the cloth, you maintain the rails, and the table's going to be there. The only time they'll get replaced is when the preference of style changes. At that point, it will get replaced, but they will always play well. So there's no reason to wait 3 years to buy a table. It's not going to increase the lifespan. We just need to do it now. And the theory of why these were not replaced originally, my understanding is that we planned on replacing everything. And the Diamond distributor got a bunch of tables from Diamond, sold those tables, and didn't pay Diamond back. And because Diamond gives tables away you got 60 days to pay them back. He sold the tables and spent the money. And then we couldn't buy any more tables. We kept on getting delayed. So we did try to replace them once, but that scenario affected us getting the tables. And so I'd say, let's move forward, get it done, finish the project that was meant to be finished years ago. We would have matching tables with matching lights. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, we have more people coming up to the podium. Ladies first, there you go.
Terry Kleisig, 133861. Like Bill, one of the main reasons my husband and I moved here again was the pool room. We walked in and we said, oh my God, kind of one of those kind of feelings. One thing that I'd like to point out is the perimeter light. Do you know why it was designed for that? What it's designed for? It's really designed for streaming, live streaming. The idea is that it's open and they can have cameras that go down. If you've ever watched pool on TV, that was one of the things. And it's also for a larger lighting area or in a tournament area where there's more people and stuff around. That's why it was designed. We don't have that particular situation. I also might add, I think that they are still making these diamond lights, so the fact that they're 20 years old doesn't matter. They have a parabolic filter on there, so the shadows that you may have seen actually may have been coming from the other perimeter light that was over, because there are no shadows. That's the whole idea of the parabolic diffuser. Thank you. So I was just going to say the parabolic provides superior illumination across the entire pool table. And as Bill said, it lights up the pool tables, just the pool tables, beautifully. You go away from it, it doesn't light it up. The room needs more light, but what it needs is some sconces, or I believe Sun City Lakeside, they have lights that kind of go and reflect off the wall. So the room is actually quite lit up, but they still have their pool table lights, parabolic lights there, to light up the pool table for the pool players. Anyway, high quality. I guess what I want to say is I hope I don't have to go in there and wear a cap to play pool.
I would agree that the pool hall, is that what we call it? Pool hall, billiard room? All the tables are lit, but the perimeter of our room is very dark. I mean, and I would love to see some sconces or something, and I don't know exactly how that would affect the pool tables, but we do need some more light in there maybe. But overall, if you go into a pool room, I want to say that they are usually pretty dark. Am I correct? So you know what you're shooting at and that kind of thing. Okay, I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Steve Malmquist, 137-300. And thank you for the opportunity to speak to you guys and for the interest in the pool hall. That's refreshing. I think the goal here is to make it inviting, to make the pool hall look like something that maybe a younger set of potential residents might enjoy and find. At this point, it looks to me like we might need an interior decorator to come in and give some opinions as to how they could light the perimeter as you're talking about, and incorporate the lights that, well, the ones we have now, they are still for sale. They're $1,500 per light, which to me is a little bit pricey, but the diffuser on them is the big deal. The perimeter light that's up in the corner doesn't have anything to diffuse the light, so it's very harsh on the eye. And you see it when you walk in the room from the far end, it jumps out at you. And if you're over it, it's not comfortable. After a little while, my eyes really do get tired by it. Yeah, thank you for that. I hope we can find a resolution to it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's important that we're having this conversation. One, it's a lot of money that we're looking to put into the pool hall. And two, I don't know, I don't have one pool player on my committee. Next year, I would love to have a pool player, or if not, one or two on my committee, if I get the committee. But I think it's important that the whole sports path building gets represented. So billiards and bowling, most of my committee is bowlers. So hopefully next year we'll get some of you guys on our committee. Okay, I'm sorry, go right ahead.
Thank you. My name is Jason Feig, 141242. I wanted to come up here. I support what you've just heard from the previous folks. That particular light that's up there is very bothersome. It's a, you know, it's a raw light, right there in your eyes. And even if you raise it up higher, it's in the room. So I'm not in favor of that light. The other thing I want to talk about for a second is we, Sun City West, are part of a league that we have every February and March. The other communities that participate in the league are Grand, Sun City, Sun Village, Happy Trails, and Sunflower. And what we do is we all go and play at each other's pool rooms, and they all come to us. So we play 2 matches with each of them. So through that, I have seen all of those other pool halls. With regards to the lights, they all have the same kind of lights we have. They all have the same kind of tables we have, Brunswick and Diamond and Olhausen, you know, essentially top of the line. With regards to the tables, I'm glad to hear that it's in the budget to recover the tables, because Sun City West is by far the worst. All of these other communities, if you go there, you'll see fresh cloth that is regularly maintained. So that's a good thing for us to have as often as we can. However, I don't know if a year or 6 months, whatever it takes, but whenever it needs it, for Gary to have in his budget the ability to spend that money, you know, when it's needed, any time of the year, I think is a way that should be, you know, that should be the approach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Bobby Bell. I'm member number 137083. I'm also not in favor of this new light. I play regularly at the pool hall. It's another reason I retired here in this community, like Bill and others. I've seen the quality of our felt on our tables decline over the last, I've been here 3 years plus, and it's really gotten bad. And it's sad, to be very honest with you. It's a bit embarrassing. I brought friends in to show them the pool room, and the first comment was, look at your tables, they look horrible. Well, I play on those tables, and like Gary said, there are holes in more than one of the felt, and it's long overdue to change the felt on these tables. It shouldn't have taken as long as it has, in my opinion. Another thing, this recent renovation we went through, we suffered through. I'm here year-round. And initially, we were told the renovation was going to take X number of weeks, and it ended up taking 2-3 times that period of time. During that time, we suffered, literally. The construction was ongoing. There was dust everywhere. You need to keep your pool cue, your pool balls, your table clean. That was not really possible during that time. Long story short, I love this pool room, as do most of the people here. We are appreciative of having it, and we would like to see it continue to improve. And lastly, lockers. I put my name on the list for a locker over 2 years ago, and I'm still waiting to be notified that I can get a locker and pay for a locker, by the way. They're not free. I was also told during the renovation there was a likelihood they would add additional lockers, which did not materialize. So please, let's get some more lockers. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. We have one more coming up.
Good morning. My name is Tom Corris, and thank you for having our comment session. I'm the elderly gentleman you spoke to, Jolene. I hope you're seeing what I'm going to briefly talk about here. I've been here for 17 years, so I know lots of things, like the pool tables and the lights were bought at the same time, and that wasn't 20 years ago. It was more like 10 or 12. I can't recall.
Okay.
And they are excellent lights. I like both kinds of lights. I come from, in the summer, I go to Juniper Ridge up near Sholo, and I made sure we got the perimeter lights up there, and they work excellently, but we have ambient light coming in through windows, so it's different. But I'd like to go over some of the pros and cons of these things. There are several pros for the new lights. They illuminate the tables more uniformly, more than any other lights. They were designed by Predator originally, and this is a Chinese knockoff that we're going to get. The same Chinese knockoffs that I bought for our place up there. They look clean, they look modern. They would give the room an open appearance. There are also some cons. They would no longer complement the decor of the diamond tables, which we're hoping eventually to get nothing but diamond tables. Many people find the lights are too bright or too dim. Some have said that it irritates their eyes and distracts them while shooting, and I agree with that. The light is no longer concentrated on the playing surface, but much of the surface surrounding the area is also illuminated. 28 more lights in there with the kind of brightness that we see in that corner would make it completely change the ambiance of the room. It would look more like a rec center than a pool room. The purpose of lights in a pool room is to illuminate the tables, not the walls and seating. We would be spending significant money on something that we don't really need. In short, I'd like to see the money spent for a few new league level tables from Diamond. These are family-friendly sized pockets. And if that's not an option, I'd like to see capital funds switched over to maintenance so Gary can do a little more maintenance, which I think he already mentioned he's been planning on doing. So that's good. I want to thank Gary. Gary, you've done a very nice job. That room looks so much better. May I speak a little longer? When I came here, the lights were made by the wood shop, I believe. The tables were all Brunswicks, and they were used when they were purchased. They're Brunswick Crown 3s, I think. And they were worn before we even got them. They were excellent. That, once again, is the reason I moved to Sun City. the realtor took us on a tour. I looked in that room and I looked at my wife saying, we're buying here. And we did. And I don't regret a minute of it. So if you have a historical question or anything, I know about perimeter lights. I know about diamond lights. And both are good. But I think for the purposes of our particular room, the perimeter lights would be much too bright and change the entire character of the room. Any questions?
Any questions for Tom? Because he seems to know his lighting. In fact, he knows his lighting so much that I was speaking with him yesterday. I went in the afternoon, and that man's got a light meter on his phone. So he could tell me exactly how bright that light was and how bright the other lights were. So it was interesting. I learned a lot. Okay, Christine.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. For those who don't know me, I'm also a director on the RCSCW Governing Board. I'm the president of the Governing Board for this fiscal year. So a couple of suggestions. I didn't hear you say it, but for the material that one of our residents distributed, will that be posted to the meeting minutes afterwards, Madam
I will
Chair?
have Bill send that to Karen and have it
Excellent.
attached to the minutes, if that's okay with everybody. I have to get approval, I think, on that, correct? So everyone can know what they're looking at.
That would be great. Thank you.
And I will also ask Tom to post this, unless you can scan it.
It would be,
That's over
if it's at all possible to email that to us, that would be easier, but whatever would work.
Okay.
So that's number one. I know that there are a lot of folks here to speak, but I would love to hear from, through your committee, and if you agree, I'd love to hear from our staff about their points of view on the statements that they heard and why these lights were recommended.
Okay, great. So let's start with staff. How's that? Or committee. We can start with committee. Bob, do you have any? I know you're a bowler, but
I'm a bowler and I've not availed myself to the pool room here. However, in my past life, I played a lot of pool and in a lot of pool halls. My experience is that most of them are very dimly lit, and the focus is always the light on the table. What I've heard from the group that's here, and I tend to agree with them, is that we don't need a lighting change. What we need to do is fix the felts. And I agree with that. I had a Brunswick table in my home, and I used to refelt it fairly regularly. The other thing I'm hearing, and makes sense, is that the lights should match the table. We seem to have a mismatch in there, Brunswick versus diamond, and the lights don't necessarily correspond to the design of the table. I'm always a fan of standardization. I think things should be the same across the board. Make a decision on which way you want to go, all Brunswick, all diamond, one light or the other light, and I certainly welcome the input of the people that are using the room.
thank you. Harold, any?
I appreciate all the comments from the people in the audience. I understand they're in there all the time. They're the ones that know what's going on. I think the committee here really needs to take what they've heard today, and with the help of the staff and the budgets for next year, figure out the right way to go forward. What that is, I like what I heard from the people in the audience, so it's something that needs to be discussed further.
Thank you. Norm?
I am one of the members of the committee that does use the pool room, and I would like to hear from the staff how this initial selection was made and recommended. I understand the comments from all the residents. I don't necessarily agree that I like a dark, smoky pool hall, but it is traditional to have a lot of pool halls with less lighting than what that corner light has currently, because when I did go in there for the first time after the light was installed, that's the first thing my eyes went to, because it was so different and so distracting from what used to be there. And I would think, yes, maybe the sides can be illuminated a little bit better to improve the overall lighting of the pool hall, but I need to hear more about why these particular lights were recommended or being purchased for this particular location.
Okay, with that said, I'm going to turn to staff before we continue with the committee, so we can hear why and how and what our choices were. Gary?
In shopping lights, we went through many. We went through Diamond. We went through Perimeter. We looked at cost. We looked at a modern looking style of light. We purchased one that we didn't even buy. It's a sample. And people think that the sample was for opinions, okay? I have heard more opinions, and those people aren't in the sitting in here, who have complimented us on that light. I have as many people who love it as don't like it, but they're not here. So when I'm sitting at my desk and someone goes in and say, Gary, love the great light. It's beautiful. It's so much of an upgrade. I get those comments also from other members who play in pool a lot. So I'm in the tennis court and I'm the net, okay? Because I get both. We tried a light. Opinions are fine. Somebody liked them, somebody didn't. We can dim them down, we can move them up. There's things that you can do with that light that haven't been done that we're working on. We have it for free, so we might as well try it. See if it works, see if it's the future, okay? Comments are always accepted. No one has said anything other than it's a beautiful looking light. It's a modern looking light. It's a much different looking light. And like it or not, it may be the future of what we're trying to do in that room. I mean, I'm sorry, that's my opinion.
Okay, did that help, Norm, of why? Okay, Carol or Deb? Sorry.
Well, I'm not an avid pool player. I have, like Bob, spent some time in pool halls, and I do believe that the focus is on the table and not so much the surrounding areas needing to be lit up. So that's just my opinion. And in looking at this picture, this does look very conference-like. And I'm a retired member of our society. I don't want to go into a conference room to have fun.
The picture that was in Bill's presentation with a number of tables and a number of those lights, it does look a little sterile. Right now, we have kind of a friendly atmosphere because it's not as bright. But, okay, Bob Bauer.
There we go. I am a bowler now. I was a pool player then. I don't play much anymore. But my experiences in pool go along with my fellow board members that when we grew up in pool halls, they were smoky, they were dark, the lights were focused primarily on the table. And back as a young person, I really didn't get the whole purpose of that kind of thing. But after the discussions here today, you know, the light bulb kind of went on and said, yeah, it's kind of like what it's supposed to be. And it's what I remember it was. So I think that, you know, kudos to Gary to try to modernize and make things better for us as residents in Sun City West, whether it's bowling or the billiard room. And I think that with the information that we received today, you know, Gary has indicated that, you know, he's looking for input. And I think that the people that use the billiard room, like the leagues, or I don't know if there's clubs in there within that as well, should have some say as to how the layout should be. And I think should be some additional dialogue with Gary, so everybody's on the same page. I just don't feel that, you know, he should be bombarded with, you know, not providing or making his best efforts in providing services and conditions for us here. So, but thank you to the people that have come here today. I think it's a wealth of information that I had previously had. So thank you very much, and I'm sure we can get things worked out.
All the comments and all the discussion has been very, very thought out, done with respect. And I think all of us in this room who are residents also know we need to be fiscally responsible. So just I'm a bowler. If you saw me in a billiard room, you wouldn't want me there because I'm really bad. So I think just looking at the cost of lights, and I understand what Gary's trying to do, but when you look at the photos, you're looking at way different looking rooms. One has, a peaked roof, very high roof, obviously a much, much newer facility. There was a brief discussion about even taking the ceiling tiles and putting black ceiling tiles, like I think you did that in Lizard Acres, right? It creates a whole different look. The importance of when you're playing a game, or is that the right word? Okay. When you're playing something you have passion for, you want to have the best of the best because you came here to this community because you saw something that was really dear to your heart. And I think how many diamond tables do we have versus? So there's more Brunswick tables than diamond tables. And is the importance of the table and how the lighting is over a diamond table versus a Brunswick table, is it that much different for you, the billiard players, or is it very similar? Does it matter? The felt, yeah. Does it matter that it's a different table?
It's just
And
what feels to your eye.
Yeah, and I understand, you have the overhead lights matches the grain of the diamond tables versus the billiard or the Brunswick tables. And all that's important if you're aesthetically looking at something. But how the table plays is the most important thing to you, and that felt is the most important thing to you. So I think with Gary's suggestion and thoughts about an annual program to redo the felt much more frequently than's been done, maybe even adding something around the perimeter of the middle tables so that you have some place to put your drink and or whatever you have, then they'll get used more, adequately as the outside tables. But I think all the discussion, everything that everybody has said has been very valid and very important to you. So how does Gary, as the manager and the guy who's trying to do it for everybody, how does he take that filter in? As the net on a tennis court, he's getting it up from all sides, and it's really hard. And I think we all have to keep that in mind. But what I'm looking at as a member of this committee and as a resident, where do I get the best buck? Where's the money going to come from that's really going to give you the best advantage down the road? Do sconces on the outside of the walls, does that help? Does that create a different aesthetic that everybody is more pleased with? So all good discussion, all good thoughts, and I think as we move forward and in the budget discussion and so forth, then it makes sense to really try to appease as many people, because you never will appease everybody, so you try to find consensus so that it works for everybody. That's my thoughts.
Gloria.
I do play pool occasionally. My husband and I go up there, and I had a pool table growing up as a kid, so I know what you're talking about. My dad fashioned his own light right above the table and made it perfect. And all of your comments are very valid and very well thought out. Yeah, looking at it, it does look a little sterile with that. I just wonder if all of the lights, if they're all like that, will it really brighten up the room a lot? Or can you dim those lights to the point where it's still going to kind of give that warm ambience of dark without affecting the table?
Well, okay, so right now, the light, when it was originally put up, correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, was at full brightness. And right now it's at half, right? Half brightness? At least half brightness. So those lights can be dimmed, and they would have to be dimmed across the board, the same number, because otherwise you'd be like strobe lights. So
Exactly. That's what I was
So-
wondering, because looking at some of the pictures, it's just so bright in the one room, but, more, quiet in the other room. So if the lights can be dimmed down, if we kept it for a while and kept trying the different, like Gary said, they're still working on trying the different. I did Google and look at a lot of newer pool halls that, and a lot of them do have this lighting. I was trying to look for opinions from, people on the outside other than, here, just opinions of people, and the pros and the cons of each of the lights, and they both pretty much have an even pro and con to them. But, understandably, like a bowler, I want the bowling alley a certain way, and you guys are pool players, and you want your pool hall a certain way. So, I don't know, we just need to figure out some middle ground that can be worked on, and maybe take a bigger version of people that are pro and con against it. Unfortunately, there's nobody here for it today. But I wonder if you could do, like even in the pool hall, put a box out, an opinion box, private, so nobody's, being looked at for their opinion. And maybe just look at it and see, what the consensus is of it, and then have a discussion at that point.
Okay, thank you, Gloria. Carol?
I think clearly there are a lot of pros and cons on this topic, and I don't see a clear decision that can be made at this point. I think I was going to suggest the same as what my colleague did. We need to have a sampling of everyone that uses that pool room, hear what they have to say. It seems to me that the majority of people want to keep the pool hall look that we all grew up with. Doesn't mean we have to stay that way, but I do think we need a larger sampling from the pool players to determine how we want to spend the money. What direction do we want to go with this? What do we want the room to look like? I don't think at this point we can determine that.
Thank you, Carol. Sure.
So you have the rec numbers of the people that check in. Is there any way, like throughout the year, that you could design like a, what do you call those
Monkey survey.
Monkey surveys that can be sent out specifically to the pool players rather than just the general public? Because I don't really play pool. I'm not that picky about it. I like the modern looks. I like the updated looks, but that's my opinion. But I'm not the one playing there. So I think trying to get one of those surveys going, if there's any way you could harness who is in there playing.
Well, I did my due diligence. So just so you guys know, in 2025, we had 2,342 residents use that pool hall. That's our distinct number, okay? So there's roughly 2,400 of our residents that use that. So far this year, 1,700 members, distinct members, have used it. So we do have a large number of residents using it on a consistent basis. That's just, but I don't know if Dave can pull those and actually do a monkey survey. Go ahead, Stephen.
So you went down the road that I was going to get up and suggest. Yes, we can. And I do truly value the input from the folks that are here. I would also advise, though, that the committee should look at, because to your point, there was nobody that is standing up and saying, I like the lights. But there are plenty of people that are out there saying, I like the lights. So that being said, we need to get a better idea. So we absolutely can use the data we have, formulate a quick survey, send it out to those folks, and get a better sampling of what that is. Also keeping in mind that, most of this stemmed from the desire to change these lights. First of all, the lights are due for replacement. We do have items, a lot of our assets are on, most of our assets on a replacement program that we have where they come up due for that. The desire to go to this type of lighting really was a product of the governing board going and touring other facilities, and we saw this type of lighting and the desire to make our facilities more of a modern, updated look for future generations that are coming in. So again, that's why we as staff suggested this type of lighting, that it would, yes, it would change the look of the room. That's undeniable, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's changing, it's for change, because we're looking at ways to update the room moving forward. But again, that being said, listen, I don't play there, so I'm just giving the background of how we got to this point. We're happy to put together a survey. We can get that out to those 2,400-ish folks that, or whatever the number is, so that we get a better sampling. Again, appreciate the folks in the room, but as I always advise those folks that are on committees and boards, you don't vote the room. And that's no disrespect. It's a reality of you have a small sampling of the folks that are actually using whatever it is you're referring to. So it is better to gather more data, is my recommendation.
Okay, that would be, I did receive one email from a player, and he was happy with the light, so I forgot to mention that, but yes, he emailed me. He said that Gary's been doing a great job, and that he said, please note, Gary is still working the fine tuning of the height and the brightness of the light. And because it's LED, it's going to be a significant improvement of the room. I do want to make one comment. Yes, as the board, we did go and look at other communities that had that light, except for not one other community had more than 3 tables that we saw. We have 30 tables, guys, and 30 tables is a lot of tables to light up. So that's just an FYI. Christine?
Thank you again. Just to add, in the event the committee isn't aware, I know that Director Piaskowski and I are both aware, once you're prepared to do so, you would make a recommendation. So you don't feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. You're making a recommendation to the governing board for the decision on any funding or budgeting, just so that you're aware of that. And I think it's a brilliant idea to actually go out and do some kind of a survey monkey or a survey. So thank you to the staff for being willing to do that on behalf. So you get a broader set of input, and you can always defer this item to your next meeting following the receipt of a survey. Thank you. And I think you have a few other residents who want to speak.
Thank you.
I just wanted to help Steve Malmquist.
Thank you.
137-300. I wanted to clarify something. I think I heard some misunderstanding about the light. I liked the light when it first went up. From across the room, I thought it looked really nice. But when I got closer to it, the fact that the light's not diffused, if you notice these lights here, there's a diffuser between you and the light bulb. When you see the raw light, which is what you see with the perimeter light, it's harsh on the eye. And over a little time, you feel that. It fatigues the eye. So that's the only thing I was trying to point out, is it's the exposed light that is the problem, not the light on the table. Thank you.
Yep, you're next.
Hey, Brian Bertles, 404857. I just had one comment about, maybe a couple comments, about the sampling of people. I think I probably speak for myself and probably a lot of other people that play a lot. I think the opinions of the people that play the most are the most important. And the reason I say that is, if we get something of a lesser kind of tables, we fight for those diamond tables. I mean, if they're full, we're just like, oh man, we don't want to play. It's the people that don't play a lot of more novelty players. They're not going to care about these things, what tables they're playing on. If we have to play on lesser tables, lesser lighting, it hurts us more. And I just wanted to make that statement. I think I speak for a lot of people that are in this room.
Yeah, valid. I mean, Pardon? Sure.
In doing that survey, in the survey, can you add in there asking how many times the player who's answering the survey plays a week? And that way you'll kind of get some kind of an idea of, I play 10 times a week and this is how many people said yes and this is how many people said no. So it kind of gives a good sampling of, and I understand exactly what you're saying, and I thought about that after when we talked about it.
I just need to know if my committee can help write that survey, because we have concerns, right? We want to know how often they play. We want to know if they've played on the new table, if they haven't played on the new table, if they like the diamond tables, if they like the Brunswick tables. That's all of, those are the kind of questions that we need to ask those distinct members on that. And that's just, okay, go ahead.
Okay. Terry Kleisig, 13361. You kind of said what I was just going to say. If you're going to do a survey, these people that are surveying need to play under the table and should play under it a couple of times, because looking at it from a distance, yeah, it's all bright and everything would be different. But if they've never played on it and had that direct light on them, it's not the same. In the olden days, we were under pool table lights that might have had just exposed fluorescent bulbs, and those lights were terrible. Those were just like the big light there. It was a bright light on you until they came out with the parabolics. It completely changed it. When I said I like the look of the pool hall, I do, but what I like is that the tables are lit up beautifully. It's not that I wish maybe it would look more modern if you want to say that, but the tables are lit up, and I'm there to play pool. I'm not there to say, oh, doesn't this look really fantastic? I do think perimeter lights on the outside is needed. Oh, one other thing is the higher that we raise it and the dimmer that we make it means less light on the table. So it's less for our eyes, but it's actually maybe not as good for playing pool.
Thank you. Good comment. We'll take 2 more comments or 3 more comments, and then we're going to.
Tony Dumansky, 140313, regarding the lights. The perimeter light looks nice as far as aesthetically. It does not play nice. When you're at that table and you have several balls on the table, every ball you can see a reflection of the light. And when you're lining up a shot and you're trying to find your spot on that ball and you see the reflection of that perimeter light, it throws you off. Not only that, on the adjacent tables, you're also getting that reflection. It's not diffuse, it's harsh on the ball as you're looking at it. And with one light in there that's that perimeter light, it lights up a large portion of that corner. 2, 3, 4 lights, nonsense. It's much too bright. Even if you dim it down, much too bright. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason Feig, 141242. I just want to make a comment about the survey idea. I don't know much about the science between how you design surveys and how they're evaluated. But one thing I think is a problem that I encourage thought on is you have people that are for or against, and then you have the I don't cares. And that can be key, because a lot of people, you say, you put a new light in, yeah, it looks great. But if you'd asked them before you put it in, they would have said, well, I don't care if there's a new light, it's fine the way it is. So you think you're looking at a lot of people who love something when in fact they really don't care. You could have left it the way it was. Here you have people that are passionate about, why don't you just leave it alone, right? And maybe that's the question. That's a question to be asked. Should we just leave everything the way that it is because we think that it's good enough, without leading them into, yeah, that looks really good too.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll be the last one. Ed Sherray, 106113. Relative to this survey, I disagree with the whole concept. We have many lighting manufacturers out there, but I'm sure somebody would be happy to come in and give us an estimate based on making it more modern, looking for whatever we want. And then we can decide what to do. A survey, like other people mentioned, you can't survey 2,400 people. Some of them are just casual, and just like Jason just said, some of them don't care, one way or the other. So I think we ought to bring somebody in and get an evaluation on what can be done, and then decide.
Well, the deal is that there are only so many billiard lighting companies per se. So Perimeter's one, Diamond has their light that matches their, Brunswick probably has the light, and that other high-end table has a light too that goes with their table. So, we really need to try to make sure that we get the light that goes for the table, that goes for the player, right, that's here. Now, the gentleman that suggested or told us about the guys that do all the billiard stuff for us, maybe they could shed some light on what they have seen in other pool halls and what they do for perimeter lighting or what they have seen. So we can get more opinions. I'm not saying that's not a good idea. I'm just saying that we have to stick with a light that is made for a commercial, because we are a commercial, even though we are just owner residents, we are a commercial grade pool hall per se. So, okay, thank you though. Okay, this is our last comment.
In my handout, I had a conversation with 2 table mechanics. I included Justin Turner, and I have his phone number. He's a Diamond distributor. I also have Dave Clayton and his phone number. I got permission from both of them to submit to drop their names. I encourage you to call them up and tell them who you are and ask them questions, and I'll let them speak for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I think we're at the point where we as a committee are going to kind of vote on these 2 items. I know we can't really vote on the lighting because that's kind of still up in arms, but we can vote on the Sports Pavilion water heater for the Pavilion Grill, because we know that has to get done. So if everyone wants to just say yay or nay, that would be great. We'll start with Carol.
Yay.
Yay, you gotta have hot water.
Yay.
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 Yes, however, I'd like to make a comment on the lighting if I can. I'd like to remind the committee, most of this committee wasn't there the last time with this committee did a survey when Mimos went out and we were looking for a new restaurant, and we tried to develop a survey for that, and it seemed to take a long time, months, and when we finally did develop the survey, not sure what the survey was used for because it doesn't, current restaurant, Pete's came in, didn't reflect what we discovered in the survey, and subsequent occupant seems to be a little better, but still, I think we did a survey just for the sake of doing a survey. So everybody thought their input was being considered. My recommendation, if we do a survey, I'm not opposed to it, but if we do one, make it very concise, make it very time sensitive. Let's not take months to get this done. And certainly I agree with the comment that we ought to be focusing on the primary users of that facility, not the person that plays once a year.
Correct, and I don't know, I can go back to Dave and see how many times the distinct member actually checked in. I don't know if he can tell us that in his, do you know if he can tell us that, Cliff? He can. So literally I can ask him now to break that down so we kind of know the 2,400 people that checked in 2025, 700 of them checked in more than 10 times. So we would want to for sure survey those people. So maybe if we do a survey, we want to survey the people that use the pool room more than me, who just checks in because I have kids here. Okay, so we're going to pass the water heater is good. The lights are still going to be on hold for now until we have a little bit more discussion on it and get more information from the pool hall users. And that's good. Okay. Now we're going to go to, oh, we did the 4.04. Sweet. Sports Pavilion operation presentation, discussion with Cliff. You waited all this time. Look at that.
Thank you. All right. So we're here to talk about the operating budget for next fiscal year. So again, July 1 through June 30, July 1, 26 through June 30, 2027. Let's get started. So in our budget goals, we've talked a lot today about keeping the place looking nice. And that's basically what our budget goals are. The primary goal is to preserve, protect, maintain, and enhance the assets of the association to meet the minimum reserve funding requirement established by policy. So we talked about our reserve study that has the pool tables on it, along with the stadium seating in here, the carpet in here, all the components throughout the community. There's approximately $120 million worth of components in this reserve study, over 2,000 items. Pool tables are one of them. We assign a useful life to those. And when they come up on the reserve study, we assess whether we can get some more life out of that, or if it's time to, purchase a new table to replace that table. We would also take into account the life of the felting in that case. So if we were to decide to felt a table, we would look and go, does it make sense to refelt that table because next year we're going to replace it? That type of thing. So a lot of consideration goes into the assets on the reserve study and how we replace those and how we fund those. So anyway, so the reserve study is a big part of our budget goal to make sure we can have funds available to do those things. And we continue to invest in new capital projects and improvements. So the lighting may be an improvement. Whichever light we decide to go with, we may decide, or the pin setters, for example, in the bowling alley, we can gain efficiencies and modernization, as well as saving maintenance costs, things like that. So we always look at modernizing and improving our facilities at the same time that we're replacing those assets. And then finally, we got to keep the place looking nice, not only have high standards for our community, but also to keep property values up and to keep the place attractive for people moving into the community. So many of you moved here to play billiards, and that's the reason why we do that. And that's part of the budget goals in this budget. So we look at the Sports Pavilion as a whole, from billiards to bowling to the restaurant to the pub. We have 31 positions in the bowling alley. There's 18 FTEs. So those 31 positions, when you add all those hours up that all those people work, it's about 18 full-time equivalents, which basically just takes the total hours, divided it by 2,080, which is a full-time employee. And it's about 18 full-time employees. And that building is open 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for the most part. So we feel like we run it efficiently with those 18 full-time equivalents in the budget. So when we look at our budget for wages and benefits, we have approximately $972,000 in this budget for the wages and benefits for those 31 employees in the Sports Pavilion. And there's a $74,000 increase being proposed from last year to this year, partially because of the new FTEs that are in the budget. There's 2 additional FTEs. We've hired a full-time league coordinator to run. We have some additional leagues, in-house leagues, and the workload was such that we needed to really have a full-time person doing that job. We previously had a part-time person doing that job, and that's returned manyfold, because you could see the revenue's up 92,000 in the bowling alley. So that definitely has paid off and it was worth it. And then as well as the additional hours for the Lizard Acres staff for the cleaning and maintenance and operation of that facility. So there's an increase in the budget for that. And then finally, we got a workers' comp insurance increase, approximately 7%, put in the budget as well. So when we look at the non-payroll operating expenses, so all other operating expenses other than payroll, the categories are listed here, and I'll go through the major changes within these categories for the Sports Pavilion. So when we look at the overall 8% non-payroll increase in costs, some things that we talk about in there. Overall repairs and maintenance is actually going down compared to last budget, compared to this projected year by $3,400. Partially due to a savings or a decrease in maintenance for the pin setters. We anticipate the new pin setters will require less maintenance, especially with the warranties and things that go on with those, being that they're new. So we decreased the maintenance budget by $5,000. There's an $11,000 overall decrease after the billiards room remodel. So all the costs and expenses that went in to the billiards room remodel, which, by the way, most of them were done in-house, which is why it took longer than anticipated, because we had our maintenance staff doing that. And we've got 53 buildings on this campus, and we can't just blitzkrieg it. We got to do it. We had to do it in a way that was efficient for the community, efficient with payroll, but at the same time, get that done cost effectively in-house. So that's the reason why it took longer than expected to get that done. However, we anticipate not having those additional costs in the billiards room, so that'll save us $11,000 year over year. Now there is a $7,500 increase because we have 10 tables of refelting that we plan on doing in this budget, approximately $750 each to refelt those tables. So there is an increase there at $7,500, and another $5,000 increase for upholstery repair in the bowling alleys for the chairs and for the things in the bowling alley to keep those looking good and up to par. So that's the repairs and maintenance category. In the equipment category, we're budgeting new pins for the bowling center. They're going to be a synthetic pin. I believe Gary has presented those here at this committee, and we get about 3 years of life out of those pins, and these new pins will actually get another year.
We should get 3 out of them.
Oh, okay. So we get about 2 of the current pins, the wood pins. We'll get another year out of these synthetics pins. So they're a little more expensive, but the ROI on that is much better with that additional year of maintenance. So we're putting that in the budget this year. Finally, just overall operating expenses, there's a $2,000 increase where we have to replace the security panel in that sports pavilion. That's part of a project that we're doing throughout the organization. The sports pavilion has a security panel in there. We have to upgrade that panel. It's approximately $2,000. So that'll be in the budget for this year. And then down in the professional development section, approximately $2,000 increase. We're gonna do additional liquor handling training, so we have proper training and certification in the bowling center to provide better customer service, as well as making sure we are up to code and up to snuff for that. So that'll be an additional $625. And then there's a bowling convention that we need Mr. Zarek to go to make sure we're up to snuff for bowling in general in terms of best practices and vendors and things like that. So we're going to send Mr. Zarek to that, and that's approximately $1,500. Now, when we put the budget together, we meet with each department head. We start with our payroll because it's our largest expense. And when we look at our payroll, we go through and justify each position and make sure that when we're budgeting for that position, that it truly is a needed position, those hours are needed. And then as well, at the same time, looking at, okay, are there things that we're not doing that we need to do within our personnel? And then same thing with the other operating expenses. We go line by line, category by category to look at those to make sure that we're providing the managers what they need and not over providing what they need as well. So we go through that process, and in that process, it's an extensive process that we go through when we put the budget together. But throughout the year and we carry these efficiencies moving forward. But some of the things that we learn at conferences, or some of the things that we, with the staff that we have, being able to, for example, handle a billiards room remodel with our own staff without having to bring a contractor in, those types of things. So we're constantly we're price shopping, getting competitive bids. I mean, even these lights that we're looking at, we really price shop that and got that down about 25 or 30% from retail, what they're selling those, just because we're buying, we could potentially be buying a bulk purchase on that. But those types of things, just leveraging our technology, strategic use of subcontract labor, doing stuff in-house. So attached to this presentation is a cost savings measures spreadsheet, and encourage you to take a look. It's 4 pages just of things that we've done to save the association money and be more efficient and be more cost effective. So I don't want to undersell that, because it's not because we want to pat ourselves on the back. It really is just to show the community that we are doing things, we are taking measures to save the association money wherever we can. So now, with that increase, 8% increase in costs, what we try to do with Sports Pavilion and with golf is we present to the committee those increased costs, and then we have to present to the committee, okay, we understand this is an amenity, okay? Our dues go to pay for billiards. It goes to pay for bowling. It goes to pay for all those things. There is a separate revenue component to that as well. So we know that when members pay their dues at rec centers of Sun City West, they expect to go into a bowling alley and pay for cheap bowling, because it's subsidized. It's part of what they pay their dues for. So we're very sensitive to rates, whether they be bowling, whether they be guest fees, whether it's beer or snacks or whatever it is. We're very sensitive to that. So when we put the budget together, what we try and do is at least cover the costs, the additional cost of that amenity, okay? Because we know when we instate a dues increase for member dues, everybody pays a dues increase. And then if we instate a rate increase for golf and bowling, they pay that too. So we have to be very conscious of that. We are very conscious of that. So we study the top line, or the revenue, to see how we can cover those additional costs. So let's just look into the bowling data and some trends in bowling. So if you look at our bowling lineage from 2022, we've gone from 290,000 to last year to 317, almost 318,000 lines of bowling, which is just awesome. I mean, really, and that's really coming from our community. It really is, which is just phenomenal. And so we've got 319,000 lines of bowling in here. With these new pen sitters getting done this year, we'll be able, just strictly from that, we'll have increased lineage in bowling. We also had, just some barriers to sale earlier on this year that we talked about, which impacted the bowling center, impacted the Lizard Acres, impacted billiards as well. So we anticipate just that Sports Pavilion is just going to get even busier next year. So the good thing is we feel like with those additional patronage, that we'll be able to cover these additional costs without having to increase fees for those services. But just to give some more information, so our bowling mix is in 2024 is about 71 to 29%. In 2025, we kind of changed that. It became 63 to 32% mix in terms of league versus non-league bowling. League bowling's great. It's like league golf and group play on golf. It's nice to know that your tee sheet's going to be filled. It's nice to know that those lanes are going to be filled, and you can plan for that ahead. You can do it really efficiently. It's wonderful. However, we know that it's also very good to have other types of business, which is non-league in the bowling center, which is awesome because it brings other things, because it brings more people to the billiards hall. It brings more people to the other amenities, the Lizard Acres pub. So We are at 70/30 through January, but that's largely, we still feel like we'll still hit that target. In fact, I was just doing the numbers through February that you had posted up there, and it already went down 1%, or went up 1% for non-league and down 1% for the year to date, even just in 1 month. So we anticipate being at that same mix, which is good. So with that data and that information in mind, in bowling, we're going to have a $35,000 increase in revenue in this budget. We think the additional lineage with having the facility open more, of course, will generate that, as well as we are going to adjust the price on the Sunday special, because it's currently, I believe it's at $2.50. Yeah, it's currently at $2.50, and with that, it's $2.50 a game. We're going to increase that 50 cents. And that alone will just generate $9,500, and then so those two items will generate an additional $3,500. And then on food and beverage side, with the popularity of the Lizard Acres and the costs and the additional headcount that we've got going into that facility, the additional hours to operate, we are going to increase the beer by 50 cents, not 50%. Sorry, we are going to increase the beer 50 cents. We sell about 66,000 beers a year in there, and we feel like that'll help cover those additional costs. And then just having the Lizard Acres Pub open for those months that we talked about, Mr. Falcone, earlier, where we had them closed, just having the facility open in general is going to generate additional revenue in there. So we feel really good about those numbers, and we feel like we can cover those that 8% in additional costs with those measures. So that said, we anticipate the bowling center to finish this year at about a $138,000 cash inflow for the association, which is phenomenal, because if you look at this compared to golf is subsidized to the tune of about $110,000 per golf course, and the Sports Pavilion is actually generating cash inflow for us at $138,000. So it's wonderful. And yes, we are investing pin setters at $800,000, and we did put new bowling lanes in. So there's a capital budget as well. But overall, operations wise, it's paying for those capital improvements, which is just very good to see. So a couple of things. We have our important dates coming up. So we have our March 13th on Friday. We'll be presenting the overall budget to the governing board. And then on April 10th, the governing board will vote on the capital projects. You had two in today's. So they'll vote on whether to include those into the budget or not. And then in April, we'll present to the community at community forums. And then finally, the overall budget will be presented May 24th to the governing board, which will include all the capital improvement items, as well as the operating budget, as well as something else that we're talking about for master planning, and potentially, and that will be voted on May 21st. And so those are some important dates coming up, but that concludes my presentation. I encourage you to look at the attachments. I've got some the attachments to this this presentation, the full budget packet, so you'll be able to see your budget for the Sports Pavilion, as well as the golf, as well as recreation and administration, and then a rolled up financial. You'll be able to see that. You'll be able to see the rates for all those things, and the recommended changes to the rates are also in that budget packet. And then those cost-saving measures, I encourage you to take a look at that as well. And we're constantly adding things to those, so that's continuing to change as we go through the budget process. But I encourage you to take a look at that as well. And just to get an idea of how the Sports Pavilion, billiards, bowling, the restaurant, Lizard Acres, kind of fits into the whole picture of the budget. We've got a $31 million operating budget here, okay? And it's pretty big, but it's nice to see how the Sports Pavilion kind of fits into that. So I encourage you to take a look at that whole thing, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Cliff. Okay, so now I can ask my committee if they have any questions for you, correct? Any questions for Cliff? Norm?
Referencing your Sports Pavilion Division position chart, is that the current status or your proposed status for 26-27, where you talk about the 31 positions, 18 of which are FTEs? That was
That's
page 3 in your presentation.
good question. That is the current status. Well, now when I compared it to I compared it to last budget presentation, which is why they're showing a change of 2 FTEs, but that is our current status.
Okay, so my question becomes, you're expressing an increase of 8,000 lines in the bowling, and one of those proposed FTEs is for a league coordinator, or a league, I think what you call that, yeah, league coordinator. And that would mean that at your percentages of 70-30 split, for 5,600 lines additional of bowling, is that the requirement that's causing you to have a new league coordinator, or is it just the fact that you're expecting more and more leagues to be managed by the bowling center?
I'd say both. So we currently have growth in that area. Gary, how many leagues have we brought on in-house in addition to what we have in the past, just this year?
4 full leagues.
4 out of, what's the total?
32.
32, in-house.
In-house.
Yeah. So we added 4 just this year, as well as the additional just lineage in general. So we were handling our in-house league with just a part-time league coordinator. This year, Gary came to us in the fall and said, we've made so many changes, we're doing so many things, we can't sustain that. So yeah, go ahead.
So another thing that's happening to us is in our leagues, surrounding areas who have leagues that were not initially house leagues, we have taken them over because no one in that league wants to be an officer or a secretary or do any of the financials or any of the league status. So rather than lose the 120 bowlers of revenue, we have captured a couple of those leagues and taken them on with our staff so that we can continue to generate that revenue, because they can't find anyone in the league that wants to take the responsibility of being an officer. So rather than lose the league and the revenue, we have taken that on and we've included some more of the leagues. So that's the reason you will see that also. And our league coordinator is 1,000 bowlers plus every week she deals with. We are also making a concerted effort for Wii Bowling that we didn't do in the past. Wii Bowling had diminished substantially with the before me. It wasn't functioning as well as we felt it should and the way it has in the past. Our assistant to our full-time league coordinator is now starting leagues, and we're trying to hope and to get more Wii Bowling activity going on back in Lizard Acres. I guess at one time they had like 20 leagues, believe it or not, in 3 or 4 days of Wii Bowling that started at 9 a.m. So it is popular. We just have not, we are now exploring to get it back.
I can just tell you a little about the Wii Bowling. There was a guy, Bill Weaver, was it? Warren. He ran it, and it was like packed. So yeah, if you could bring it back, that would be awesome, because I do believe there's a need for it. They do like it. The other question I have about the leagues that we take over, do we charge those bowlers like an extra $1 or 50 cents?
We do not.
Pardon?
We do not.
Oh, you do not?
No, with that money goes back into the prize fund. We do not charge them for running their leagues.
Okay.
In the past, they have never done it, so I have never done it. It is just something because we generate that much revenue with them, we feel that we're getting paid that way. We don't charge extra.
Pardon?
We don't charge extra for group play on golf or anything like that.
But group play does it themselves. Group play, to a point, they have to submit all their tee times and tee sheets. We have a person that coordinates where they're going to be playing, but they really, it's just a thought process. Because I'm foreseeing that the newer generation, they're kind of hands off and they want to just play. And so it's something to maybe consider, saying, hey, guys, if you can't get officers to run your league, we're gonna just have to charge you a flat rate of, $100 for your whole league to run it for just a thought process later. Might be,
Something,
yeah.
The leagues that are not managed by the house, everybody in the league pays an extra 50 to 75 cents per night of bowling. So if you multiply that across 100 bowlers, it's the league secretaries are getting hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars to administrate that league. So having a nominal fee for the house to manage a league is not a bad idea.
Do the league secretaries currently that are running the leagues, do they get paid for that through their own leagues? Then I agree, we should be.
It's just something to think about. I get that we don't want to lose that generation, that, money. But on the other hand, if they don't want to do it, and not that we want to lose it, but $100 for, how long does a league go for?
between 20 and 30 weeks.
Yeah, that's cheap, or inexpensive to do something like that. Just throw it away. Throw it up against your other management people and see what they think about it. Not right now, maybe just down the road. Any more questions? Okay, any questions from our audience?
Thank you. Jason Feig, 141242. Could you go back to chart 7?
Okay.
The line, the 7.5K increase for 10 billiard tables, refelting. I thought when Gary talked earlier in the meeting that he said that starting July, there's money to recover all the tables?
Not all.
Not all.
Not all. We have a line item budget, and he's trying to recover at least 10. And so that too, we can, that's all a budget, So if Gary has more money at the end of the year, because that happens sometimes, because sometimes you budget for something and it doesn't come in at that full boat, he might be able to recover more, but at this point, we're just looking to do 10 billiard tables.
Oh, okay. So you know how many tables there are.
We do.
And you've heard all the comments about.
We have.
Yeah.
And, and that's something that during the budget season, because we are in budget season right now, I can bring to the governing board tomorrow when we go through budget and say, hey guys, this is something that we need to really look at to have all of our tables recovered because they're bad. And we need to find it now. And then we need my favorite person, Cliff, to find money on R&R so those tables can get refelted. So we always have a dollar amount for refelting, because right now we don't. Am I correct, Cliff?
We typically refilled 5 tables per year. That's been what has been done in the past since I've been here. I've been here for 5 years. So that's typically what's been done. But again, like you said, we'll budget for 10. We have 10 in this budget. We do have other repairs and maintenance dollars, and repairs and maintenance is funds. It's a fund that funds repairs and maintenance. Sometimes we know when things are coming up, sometimes we don't. And if we have it currently in this budget, if we have funds as we work through the year and we see that there's going to be some more available funds, we could put some more tables in the rotation. So that's what we would do at this point.
And we are trying to put that in an R&R situation, so we always will have money in our operating budget to have refelting tables.
Right, and we have to the tune of 5 tables per year in the past, but we're doubling that and doing 10 per year at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Director Piatkowski, I have a handout related to this, if you'd like to hand that out. But so Gary received this pool hall in disarray. These tables were at the bottom of level condition, and it's not Gary's fault. It's the prior person's fault. What you're going to run into, if Gary does 5 or 10 tables, those 5 or 10 tables are going to be played on all the time, and they will quickly diminish. And he's not going to be able to catch up. What he needs, or what we need, is a one-time, what Jolene just said, we need a one-time, raise it up to a high standard with the repair and restoration budget. We need to get back up there because we neglected it for a long time. And then see if this budget that Gary has can maintain that high level. But if you try to get to the high level, you'll never get there, because every time you put new tablecloth on there, it's going to get played. You have to start up at the top again and then try to maintain it. You'll never get to the top level.
Yep, I
That's-
heard. I
Okay,
mean,
thank you.
so, there's only so many dollars we have.
Yes.
And so, again, like I said, we are, right now in budget, we have enough for 10 tables. Go ahead.
My question is, just for clarification, because people are going to ask me questions. Is there a different budget line item? The restoration and replacement is a completely different line item than Gary. Is that correct?
So we have a reserve fund and we've got an operating fund. What we're talking about today is operating budget right now.
Okay.
So that reserve study that I talked about earlier, that is funded from our reserve fund, which is a completely separate bucket of money. So the pool table replacement will come from the reserve fund itself.
Okay. That is where that needs to get raised up to a high level. You will never catch up, because any new table will get worn out quickly. So, okay, thank you.
So we definitely assess that every year. I would say we wouldn't add it to the proposed capital improvement budget for what's being proposed now, but which is 26-27, which starts in July of this year. But we can certainly take a look at it for next year at those tables and take a look and see if that's something that we want to move forward with. And that would be presented in starting in September of next year for the following year.
And just doing quick math, 5 tables is once every 6 years. That's drastically way too long.
Yes.
Thank you.
Which is why we
Thank
doubled
you.
it.
That's why we went from 5 to 10. But the fact of the matter is that we're still behind the 8 ball per se. And so, what you're trying to say is that we get above the, in front of the 8 ball and then keep it as a rotation. That, for this budget season, cannot happen because we already have our budget kind of set in stone a little bit, unless we can find other money. But next year, if this committee comes to Cliff and say, hey, we need this to be moved up, we can take a look at when the pool tables are supposed to be replaced, find out what that budget is, find out, it's all, we can always move things, but we can't move things right now because we're already in that budget year. But next year, we can look at it and say, repair and replacement, we have, 10 tables to be replaced. What is it going to cost us if we buy 20 tables and replace them all and see if we get a better deal? Gary's really good at making that happen. He's good about selling our old equipment, and he's good about negotiating better prices. So I do have to tell you that in all of the stuff that he's done for the pool, for the Sports Pavilion and bowling alley, he has sold our old pen setters. He has sold the foul lanes. He's done amazingly well in trying to bring that budget so our line item's not as high, because he does sell our old equipment. You go, Gary.
Hi, good morning. My name's Ed Walter. It's 145559. And I appreciate both sides of the discussion this morning. Obviously, there are a lot of us pool players who are very passionate about the billiards room. And having spent 20 years as a director of maintenance for a nonprofit, I can tell you that it's very easy to spend other people's money. And you have to identify items by their necessity, right? Which is exactly what you're trying to do. So if you have a bad water heater, that's a necessity. The pin setters, I understand, are outdated, in need of repair. That's a necessity. And following that logic, it seems that the felt on the pool tables needs to be replaced. And I know you'll take that into consideration as you look at what things need to be done and maybe don't need to be done in the pool room. Thank you.
It's kind of a need versus want situation, so get that. Okay, any more? Oh, we have one comment online.
Mary Gainett wrote in, she's 133113, and she says, in golf, if you don't have people step up for the board positions, you just don't have a league. So that should be the requirement, or that league pays a weekly fee to cover it. How long before golf clubs start saying we can find officers because they know the rec centers will take care of it? You'll be opening a can of worms. Other leagues might take the spot.
Thank you, Mary. We are going to discuss that whole thing. I'll discuss it with Gary on the side, but I do think it is something that we do need to think about, because the newer generation coming in, they want to just come and play, and that's what they want to do, and they don't want any responsibility. So if we are going to start taking on leagues, they might have to cough up 50 cents. Like Bob said, they pay their secretary. And I know at golf, they pay their monitors $2 a week to make sure everything happens. So I'm not saying that we're going to do $2, but you know what I'm trying to say. Something to think about. Okay, one more comment, and then we're going to, hey, it's 11
Sorry,
o'clock,
just
we got to
one
go.
question. Terry Kleisig, 133861. Is the lights and the pool felting two different budgets? Okay.
Okay, any more questions for Cliff? It's 11 o'clock, guys, we gotta roll this up. Okay, so guess what? We're gonna go to committee comments. Anyone for a committee comment?
No comment.
No comment.
In the interest of time, no comment.
No comments.
Good discussion.
No comment at this time.
A lot of helpful and useful information was received by us today, and hoping we receive even more down the road.
I think we could all take a field trip to a couple different 55-plus communities and look at their pool halls. Gary, anything? You're good. Okay, anything from the audience? Yes. Okay, I am going to adjourn this meeting at 11:02. Our next meeting will be on April 9th, 2026, and meeting adjourned. Thank you so much for attending.